keep an eye on my channel.
Test. Well, start on like this.
Get an engineer.
There you go. There's yeah, there's 2 heights adjustments.
Well, good afternoon. Start the Cloud 9 seminar, basically titled The Final Chapter. Question mark, of course. Make it intriguing. Basically going to go over what I tried to accomplish this year. Wasn't 100% successful. I think I made great strides, but I didn't, of course, get where I wanted to be. So with that, the biggest project we had was the StevieStrow. Back in April of last year, Luis contacted me, and he said he is having some life changes, and he wanted to know if I would take over his version 2 project of his RGB to VGA project. I said I was interested in it, but there had to be some changes because I didn't like the packaging, how everything went together. So I kind of started the investigation and started looking into the project. Some of the features are listed here, which probably most everyone knows. It's basically the same as the DE0, current configuration, except this one just supports the Coco 3 only. With that, this is the unit here. It's fairly compact, fits in this palm of your hand. Has basically the same features as the DE0, except for the screensaver, which is a nice little twist that Luis did for Cloud 9. Our current product here, this is a stuffed board. As you can see, it's very, very compact. This ain't working. This way. It's very, very compact. There's 129 parts in the bill of materials for this, electrical and mechanical. I don't know what the exact breakout electrical is, but there's a lot. There's 519 pins to solder in this first run that I did 34 boards, 18,000 solder joints, something like that. It's all hand placed. Work under a microscope to do this. I actually can put these together fairly quickly, probably hour and a half in one of these or less. I can do it. The mechanical aspects, the case, is where I need to do some improvements on. There's a lot of time involved in the front, rear, and bottom case and how that's manufactured. So on the next revision, I'll do some manufacturing process changes to allow this to be assembled easier on my part. The overall look of it won't change. One thing on the people that have purchased this, thank you. A portion of each sale goes back to Luis to help in the future development of this product and support. One of the issues that you'll see is the SVGA connector varies in size, and it got kind of a tolerance issue on the back when you do the power and the VGA connector. It's a tight fit. I didn't have a lot to work with in the back. So generally, as a rule, just plug the power in first and then put the VGA connector in. It'll go right in. If you try to do it the other way, you're kind of shoehorning it. You feel like you're going to break something. So, but other than that, that's some of the key features. Here's some of the pictures, captions I have here on how I conceive of a product, try to make it work, see if it's even going to fit into the case, do part selection, do some mock-ups, and the one on the right, that's actually Mike Rowan's. Thank you, Mike, for letting me use your device in the development of this product. That was actually Luis's, I don't know, how many does he sell, Mike? Two. So it's either serial number 1 or 2. So it's a great little device. It's used as a Core 4 development board that you can buy off of eBay. I didn't like the way the thing was packaged, of course. So I ended up basically doing my own Core 4 or Cyclone 4 layout, the FPGA on my own board here. And just various pictures. And that's the screensaver on bottom middle of something Luis surprised me with one day. So it's kind of cool. Again, various pictures of the device. And most of these are on Facebook. Posted them on the COCO list, but people that can't see them here online. The Nightmare bottom. I mean, that thing is, I need a CNC machine. This is all handmade. A lot of time. There's about an hour in the front faceplate panel. All the holes need to be punched. I use a punch, not a drill. So I punch each one of them. Just taking the nuts off the switches is enough to drive anybody crazy, and then putting them all back on. So I'll be working on some improvements there. The brick, I made, like I said, I made 34 in the initial run. I had 26 good units on the first run. Had some manufacturing defects. I ended up fixing all of them except 2. This is one here that's bad, and it's on the JTAG chain not being identified. So I'll look into it a little bit more. I made 50 cables on the right. They're all custom as well to get the right twist to come out and up into the bottom of the unit with the proper clearance. That's another issue. The bottom of the board actually sits in the unit to get the right clearance on the bottom of the unit for the connector, because there's very little feet access here. It's actually canted. It's actually tipped up slightly, 1/10 of an inch. So you get the perfect connection on the bottom. Just more, I don't like production. I like doing engineering stuff, but these are just different steps of the process of the build where I'm during the process of it. The dreaded front panel assembly process, different screenshots. I'm going to try and do this. It's very risky. I'm going to switch over and actually show some live demos here on the machine itself of the real product for the people online. All right, we're doing good so far. Again, that's the screensaver.
You unplug the video.
I gotta plug the video in here.
Oh, when it's turned on.
Start out with this screen. It's kind of one that I like to play around and test with. It has various modes. It supports the artifacting, like I said, just like all the other ones. You can turn the artifacting on, and then you can do the phase. Select here. It has a scan line mode as well. You can see. There's different modes of it. And then, 6. A good one here is
I throw the pen.
this one of the color screen is Richard Golkin. Richard, I can probably don't pronounce his name right. Richard Golkinen or something like that. Guy that made one of the game engines created this program. Works really well. I mean, there's some cool features in it. You can do this color set, and then you can go to solid colors, red, green, blue. Go to lines. You can select different line patterns with different colors, etc. So that's one of the test programs I use in checking this out. This is the final one that I run. This is
Oh, is this already open?
getting some lines on this adapter, but this is what you do to tune it out. I don't have a manual written for it yet, but basically there's two buttons on the side, an increment and a decrement button. You squeeze it, it starts flashing fast, and then it goes into a blink mode. It means you're in programming mode of a digital pot. There's a Atmel AT168 in this one. That controls the digital potentiometer, so you don't have to open it up and tweak each one. So, I mean, I can sit and adjust. Each monitor is a little different once you get it set up. And then you press the two buttons at the same time again, and it writes it. It's stored, you don't have to do that again. It's in E-squared. Next time you power it up, it'll return to that stored value. If you hold the two buttons for 10 seconds, it returns to a factory default, so it'll just go to my midpoint settings. So, usually the yellow-black and the white-black lines give you the most, I call it anti-aliasing. You get some herringbone going on in it, so. And then, of course, the ball demo, the bouncing ball, I could load it up, but everybody's seen that. Another Sockmaster creation that I use. So. Okay. I've covered a lot of that stuff already. The firmware development platform that I'm on a compiler that I use. It's called Bascom. It's kind of like a Visual Basic type compiler for the AVRs, which I have here on this screen, or not this screen, on this development board. It's a SDK 500. This is actually live, so you can see the heartbeat LED.
Oh, wow.
And you'll see you can see through the case. I don't know, you guys can see that back there. You got a red blinking light. It's a little brighter than I wanted it, but that's the heartbeat. And the other one here on it is the power LED. So I develop all the firmware on this platform, and it's almost perfect when you recompile and put it into the board. I hit the two switches here. Goes into programming mode just like it would. So here's my digital screwdriver hanging there. So some of the screen stuff that you'll see, it's got to switch in between live.
Mark, you want to check?
No, I'm good, thanks. So I'm going to reset it right now. This is a debug monitor that I wrote, and now it looks like the font's messed up, but there we go. I don't know if you guys can read that back there, but what it's doing is it's doing an E-squared dump of the memory that I'm using, and I can check to make sure the settings are right, what versions I'm running, where the set point is, the gain of the pot, etc. So just a tool that I use. I have that on all my products, so it runs off the serial port on the devices. Okay, so next problematic design we had was, I'm working with Bluetooth, and I'm running with a microchip. It's an RN42 device. This is it right here. This one actually gets soldered to the PCB board. The one that I really work with, it's a development card. It actually has legs on it, and I can plug it into a XB, a Shield, and do development. I worked about 2 months trying to figure out what I was doing wrong and trying to get the keyboards to work, the mice to work on this device. And finally I get it. I'm doing everything right. The manual says it should work. It's not working. I contacted tech support. We worked with them about 2 weeks at the initial level at Microchip, which now purchased Atmel. So they're one of the same. And stumped him, and he ended up taking the case up to the Bluetooth group. And the Bluetooth group had it for just a couple days, and it came back and said basically, yep, it doesn't work. Yeah, we got a firmware fix for that. And then we went through the process of getting a new device programmed. So I was supposed to have it. Now it's scheduled to show up Monday. So that was about 3 months of not wasted time, but yeah, it's very, very frustrating with that. Now this one here, the intention, the reason why I got different Bluetooth demos that I'm going to show you here. This one here, its intention is to go on the PS2 interface adapter that I have right now, because I have some spare I/O that comes out through the SPI port on that device. And I'm going to have this thing on a board that allows us to plug this onto the PS2 adapter, and then also this can be applied onto the superboard, which I'll get to later on here in the development of this. Bear with me here because I got a lot of little demos here. All right, I'm gonna pop this demo up here. That's a 10. All right, reset it. And of course, you probably can't see that. But basically what happened there was, I'm on the Arduino platform. I do a lot of development on the Arduinos, or the STK 500s. So this is a Mega 2560. This is my Ethernet one. The actual Bluetooth one's here in the back. And I have a Bluetooth shield that plugs into the Arduino with a Bluetooth dongle that plugs into it. So basically what it's saying is the library's been initialized, did some resets, it found out what the Bluetooth MAC was, and now it's in discovery mode. It's asking me to do discovery. So I got a Logitech Bluetooth mouse here. So I'm going to just push the discovery button. And I'm going to push the discovery button. Over there. Live demos. Reset. All right, there we go. So it found the device. Now I'm going to start moving it. So do the scrolling, hit buttons left, right, position, deltas, so forth. And you can do it with a keyboard as well. I'm running the Logitech keyboard. I'm not going to go through that here right now because there's a pairing. When you start pairing, so it works, it doesn't work. It's not as smooth as I'd like it to go yet, but we're working on it. Once I get this working on the Arduino platform, then I move it over to the Bascom drivers. Basically, I'm not doing anything that someone else hasn't already done. So I'm using the Arduino as baseline drivers to then implement in and write into the Bascom. So, but it all works. I mean, you Bluetooth keyboard type away, just like keys come flying up, down. It works. The Bluetooth library is created by a gentleman in Denmark, and we're having some dongle issues. I think he's written it for a certain dongle. So I bought 7 of them, and none of them work for the next portion of it, the demo here. So I'm going to just go with the wired version of it, which is I'll go to the MP3 player first. I spent some time on this. There was a discussion on the list about sound generators and so forth, so I kind of started looking into what would be a solution, a good solution. I ended up settling on, currently, it's subject to change, but the VLSI 1053B chipset. I should have had a demo here. I had some level conversion process. I was on a 5-volt platform. The device is a 3.3 device, 3.3 volt device. I was running way too fast for my converter circuit, so the SPI bus went south. So I had to relay everything out, go to a whole nother platform, and I just ran out of time with the problems I was having with the VGA converter. So basically, this is already on the Bascom platform. It can stream audio through like a WizNet 250 device, which is basically this little tiny module up here at the top. And it can play the music in the background off of the ATX Mega, which is the device that's going to be in the SuperBoard and the Super SD. It's a 32 megahertz RISC processor. So it's got a lot of horsepower, 8 DMA channels on the device, SPI. It's a lot of horsepower. So just kind of cool feature, and basically the interface into that will be drive wire. All the enhanced calls will be a drive wire based protocol to set up streaming, set up all the sound blasting at intervals. If you want a certain beat at a certain interval, you can set all that up through the timers and so forth of the device. Graphic equalizer, everything. USB host. That was another one I'm playing with. That's a Max chipset. Again, I'm on the Arduino. I'd never really messed much with the Arduino IDE. It has some nice features, but it's so slow. Watching all the C compiling that goes on in the GCC, and it's amazing how much processing power it takes to generate 11K of code in the end. But it works. It's a great platform. Bascom, I can do the same compile, which takes about 2 minutes. I can do about 4 seconds on that platform. So you can turn things very quickly. I already did the HID mouse. I'm going to demo the PS3. Neil. We talk to Neil, we talk, but we don't talk. So we got projects, and we don't really know what everybody's working on. So not stepping on any toes or want to step on toes, but I have this PS3, so PlayStation controller, and the intent was to be Bluetooth wireless on this, which is not quite working yet, but we're working on that. So I'm wired right now. Basically, I'm tethered into it. So let me find out which one that one's on. reset it. So basically just saying the PS3 USB library has started. I'm going to hit the PlayStation button. Just it responded saying I hit the PS button. And now it's alive. So I'm going to do the different buttons. There's so many darn buttons. I'm not a gamer, so this is really foreign to me. But all the buttons are, registered and reported here. You got the top hat controls, 256. Which ones?
Well, what is that connected to?
It's actually connected to a USB host right now, and it's reporting all the information via a serial port back to just a terminal window.
Now, what type of hardware? USB host could be anything. What type of hardware platform is that controlled then?
This is on the Max 3421E. It's on the Arduino right now, plugged in. You got the triggers as well. So I'm pressing the right one, 0 to 255. Left. Switches. They can do everything. It's supposed to be doing Bluetooth right now, wireless, but not quite there yet.
Which Arduino is that?
2560 mega.
Ah, interesting.
Yep.
The Arduino Leonardo has USB capability built into it, some of it.
Host?
So,
Everyone can be a device. Being a host is a whole different story.
this is definitely true. Yeah.
Yes, so that's where we're at with that. So no offense, Neil, I don't mean to step on any of your toes on any of the development. You got a great device, but it was something I've been working on a long time too. So.
Yeah, both go ahead, because we want to buy multiples of everything.
Yes.
And the plan here is this will be either hooked up into the Super Board or the Super SD, and again, it's all drive wire. So great protocol, Boise. Hats off. So flexible. If it isn't there, make the protocol that you want it to be. So there'll be no conversions. Hopefully, some new games will be written towards this platform. I got to show you one more thing, which is even very cool.
So you've got a shield plug-in on top of the 2560 that's acting as the
Here's your-
USB host.
Yes. Here's the pitch and roll.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh yeah.
this is cool. And it's got force feedback too. So you can turn on the force feedback. But again, cool features. And then back on the drive wire. So basically, what you're doing is you're freeing up the Coco to do other things. So you're offloading all this conversion process, monitoring of this USB stream that's coming out of this device, and it's an EDR stream. So it's coming out at about a 3 megabit rate right now out of the controller. Why a joystick's got to do that, I don't know. But that's what it's doing. So what that does is the Coco doesn't have to monitor any of this stuff. It just basically says, hey, I want to get a joystick value. What is it? I want to get a switch value. It just sends the drive wire call out to the X Mega, and the X Mega says, here it is. Sits in registers or locations on that device.
So if you want to, let's say, have an action triggered when a particular joystick button is pressed, that means you've got to pull it, though, basically.
And again, the platform is interrupt driven, so we can set it up. It's all how you want to set up your device, and it's all, you can poll, which isn't very efficient, or you can just say, hey, when you have something, let me know about it. So it's all in the setup of the drive wire protocol. So,
Not to say that you have to pull a regular joystick on a Coco anyway to get the value. Do a lot more than pull it, actually. But
yeah, you can convert and do all kinds of things. All right. All right, and the ultimate goal was to this year have the Super Board done. Like I said, I ran into chip problems, chip development. I couldn't get the chipset stabilized enough to move forward with a stable product in the firmware development. So anyone was here last year, this is basically the same mock-up. The PS2 is probably going to connector is going to go away anyway. That's going to be replaced with Bluetooth. So in the USB host right now, that shield is just a single port. I'll probably end up supporting 2 host ports on there. A lot of the tools, I got a lot of time in development of Ethernet tools on this guy. Some of the calls that I have are showing up here, and I'm going to list every one, but I got the no IP, where you can have DYDNS servers, you have dynamic addresses. I've got servers written that talk to those actual servers that report back who you are, so you know where you're at. Time protocol, what's my IP? It'll turn around and it'll report that to you. UDP is running, so you can actually send messages back and forth to yourself. These are lower level utility subroutines. Your layer status. Everything on these devices is basically an INI file that sits on your SD card. It's just an ASCII file, and that's what the CF configuration read routine does. Goes out and reads that whole file. Basically, on the virtual ROM, what do you want to be when you boot? What ROM do you want to be when it boots up? That's stored in that file. Free sockets, daylight savings time. Silly stuff, but all this stuff needs to be in there for proper time management. Send email, so you just do those calls there and just very easily send an email out. And this is a tethered, or this platform I'm on is on a WISNet 5300 or W5300 platform, and it's a wired protocol. The final solution target's going to be this one. It'll be the Wi-Fi WISNet 250 on there.
Wouldn't the from function need to take an addresses to who's being from, besides just the socket number? That's, same thing with some of the other, that says in parentheses socket number.
Well, there's 8 sockets on the device. You have to initialize it. And you just can't do one function. There's a sequence of things you have to do to build the email up. Trust me, it works.
I'm just looking at I believe it works. I'm just looking at the documentation. Hey, isn't there something missing from the doc there that's on the screen? But, okay.
Missed one thing. One of the changes that always thinking, Sandy always tells me to stop it. Enough's enough. Let it be done. It's a hard thing for an engineer to do, is to move on, because I don't have a marketing guy cracking on my back. But one of the things I came up to, and I want to move forward on this, is to allow the external device, or a super SD, or even the onboard SD that's on the superboard, allow it to do a DMA into the COCO's memory map. The COCO is not set up to do DMA, so the gimme's in the way. So with that said, it's basically a big mux, and I control the gimme and whether or not, what time I want the bus to take over. But the premise of what it's going to do is, through the drive wire protocol, you request a sector, 512 bytes. Normally you poll it, you know, are you there, are you there, are you there? And then the cocoa starts transferring that block as fast as it can. Theoretically, Boise and I have looked at that timing and the best approach in which calls to use, 6309, you know, transfer block moves, which way works the best and is the fastest. And theoretically, we've computed that that time will be 7 to 9 seconds. Current TC3 SCSI host is the fastest device we have, which is about 10 to 11 seconds on a mega read. Super IDE comes in about 20 to 21 seconds, just by the mechanisms and how it works. With the enhanced DMA mode, you can run in a legacy mode and then let the cocoa get 1 byte at a time, transfer, or you can set it up to allow the X Mega to actually place it, and you just basically request a buffer, where's it located, and it'll just put it in the cocoa's memory map, so the cocoa doesn't really even have to transfer the 512 bytes anymore. It just appears.
You're using that line, I forget what it's called, on the cartridge bus, which tri-states all of the CPU and everything.
SLENB.
Yeah.
That one I use to take other devices off the bus to get it. You can SLENB, when you fire SLENB, it doesn't even take the gimme offline. The gimme's hardwired in the middle between the CPU and the memory.
I think you can still get to the 64K memory map though with SLENB, right?
Well, SLENB takes everything off the bus, peripheral-wise, in the cartridge area. So,
so it doesn't tri-state the CPU?
doesn't tri-state the CPU. There's advanced signaling that you have to know is BSBA when you start getting into the processor. When the processor actually is releasing the bus, you know, so I'm watching the bus states fetch, you know, what state of the instruction the processor's actually in, so that when the bus is released, then the X Mega switches the gimme out, and then I take over the address bus and the data bus, and I start blasting the data into the RAM.
Timing on that must be very...
Well, again, the X Mega, what you got to watch out for is the X Mega is so fast. It's a 32 megahertz RISC, so it does everything in one instruction. I think there's only a couple in one cycle. There's only a couple instructions that it doesn't do in one clock cycle. So I got 70 nanosecond RAMs, so I have to watch out that I'm not going too fast.
Right.
And I have to watch my wait states and stuff like that when I start writing into it. But there's areas, since I moved to the triad, which is SRAM, there is no refresh anymore. So it's dead time. The gimme thinks it's doing it. It still thinks it's doing a refresh in vertical and in horizontal retrace. So those are free times and blanking, video blanking time, that you can just start blasting. So you can just start hammering in those periods. You know, every 16 milliseconds, 16.6 on the vertical and 15 whatever on the horizontal. So you can actually go in there and you can actually start bursting more cycles rather than just your CPU time when the screen's being displayed. So there's little areas where you can speed up and slow down. So, and again, it's all signaling control, which is done in the Altiera devices. I believe that's everything I have. I didn't show my little MP3 development board, but this is another shield that I use. They can just plug into it, hook up to the Arduino, write the drivers, basically. See how it performs. If it doesn't perform well enough, go get another chipset and start over. So I'm hoping that'll do well. I mean, I did I streamed John's and Neil's podcast, that 3.5, 4 hour marathon one. Did as fast as the the X-Mag, it could do it. Still took it 20 minutes. So I was reading the file as fast as it could and jamming it out to the MP3 with no sync. Just, I wanted to see how fast it go. It still took it 20 minutes. And that, what, 105 meg file, or however big it was, is monstrous. So, okay, with that said, any questions? You want to see the stuff run more live over there? I'm surprised it didn't blow up on me. Usually something goes haywire.
I read something that you can support something like 512 colors with your converter.
Yeah, it's all Luis's core. And it's basically an 8-bit conversion on a red, green, blue. So 8 to the 3rd.
But the Coco doesn't support
No,
that.
no. But it's the board is, he is doing that conversion. So he's got a fine granular step. The Coco's got a coarse step. So even though it's stepping at bigger steps, he's looking at a finer grain when he starts, digitizing the analog signal. So, and I verified that with him. I wanted to be sure, and he said, yes, it is. Doesn't mean you're getting 512
It means
colors.
that as it goes into a pixel, it comes out of pixel, could actually have a little bit of, fuzziness actually from the Coco's original analog signal. You still pick up on the.
Yep. Nothing's perfect, and I detected a few things today. I really pushed hard to get this device out, to get it here for the fest. So, seeing a little waviness that I don't like, that I didn't see in the lab. I don't know if that's every monitor's a little different, everybody's power's a little different, but I'll be looking into it. So you gotta look to see it, but if you didn't tell some people, you probably would never see it. But
I noticed on your boards you didn't populate the JTAG port.
no,
So is it, if you're going to come out with any upgrades, because obviously I bought one, if you come out with upgrades, are you going to supply the...
here's the trick.
Here we go.
All you do is to take your 10-pin IDC, you stick the stakes in,
Yeah.
you just stick them in the holes, and
And it's tight enough to...
you just put it in and lean it to the side, program. So I don't need to, I don't want to add another and solder some more devices that I don't have to. So even though it's in perspective 10 pins
Right.
out of 519. It's only a couple seconds to go down it, but I just have the pin stakes in my programmers, and I just put them in, tip them to the side, hit program. There's 2 programming buses on that board. There's an Altiera and an Atmel, and of course they're not the same, so you got to have 2 different programmers. And I actually programmed both of them at the same time.
But, because I got the Altera one, that should, no problem.
Yep. Byte Blaster. Program right in. Yep. So if there's any updates, it'll be distributed, through the website. So that's another thing on the super board. I spent a fair amount of time, and the people that were here last year knew that. It's such a versatile. You'll never get the firmware right. So there'll always be updates or additions, feature adds, whatever. I have an encrypted bootloader. The device supports a AES-128. It's got a crypto engine built right into the device. So I set my key, my private key, compile it. I can put the actual firmware up on the website. You guys download it, put it on your SD card, plug it into the unit, and it'll bootstrap right up in, and you'll get a firmware update, and just by plugging it in. So it's a way of distributing, fixes, enhancement, features, whatever, without having to send it in, because, I don't know, postage, I hope nobody works for the post office, but holy moly, it costs a lot of money to ship stuff around these days. So
if I put some the pins in that socket, does that void my warranty?
nope. What warranty?
Buyer beware.
With that concludes it. So thank you.